As a real estate investor,
As
you
a
may
real estate
wonder
investor,
what
you
the
may wonder
value of your
what the
apartment buildings
value
are
of
from
your
time to
apartment
time,
buildings
not
are from
necessarily
time to
because you
time,
want
not
to sell,
necessarily because
but
you
you
want to
may
sell,
need to have a
but you may need
valuation
to
to
have
put
an
on your personal
evaluation to put on
financial
your
statement
personal
if you're
financial
looking to
statement
pursue
if you're
further
looking to
financing and
pursue
so
further
forth. So
financing and
here's a
so
couple
forth.
metrics
So
for
here's a
you to
couple
be able to
metrics for you
establish
to be able to
a
establish
general idea
a
of what
general
your
idea
apartment
of
building
what
is
your
worth.
apartment
So
building
there's
is
two
worth.
basic ways
So there's two
which you
basic
can
ways
approach this,
which you can
and they're
approach
both
this,
helpful to
and
use
they're
just
both
to make
helpful
sure
to
you have a
use
good
just to make
gauge
sure
of
you
what
have a
your
good
value is.
gauge of what your
So
value
the
is.
first way
So
and
the first
preferred
way
is
and
the
preferred
cap rate
is the
method,
cap rate
which is
method,
where you're
which is
your
where
gross
you're
rents,
analyzing
taking out all your
your
expenses,
gross rents,
and arriving
taking
at
out all
your
your
net
expenses,
operating
and
income.
arriving
So
at
you
your
need to
net
have a good
operating
handle on
income.
what the
So you
typical
need to
cap
have a
rates
good handle
are
on what
in
the
your
typical
area
cap rates are
for your
in
type
your
of
area
property. So for
for your
instance,
type of
it would be
property. So
common
for
to see an
instance,
investment
it would
property
be
with a cap
common
rate
to
of
see an investment
7%
property
for
with a
a
cap
Class
rate of
B type of
7%
investment
for a Class
within
B
our
type of
market.
investment
So you
within
could
our
take the
market. So
7%
you
and
could
apply
take
it to
the
your NOI
7%
in
and
order
apply it
to
to your
arrive
NOI
at
in
what
order to
your
arrive
valuation
at what
would look like.
your
The
valuation
second method
would look
would
like.
be to just
The second
assess
method would
what the
be
price
to
per unit is.
just
And this
assess
is used
what
as
the
kind of a
price per
backstop
unit
measure
is.
by a lot of
And this
investors
is
just
used
so
as
they can
kind of a backstop
understand,
measure by a
hey,
lot of
by using the
investors
cap
just so they
rate
can
method, does
understand,
this
hey, by
valuation make
using the
sense
cap
as
rate
compared
method,
to the
does
price per
this
unit
valuation
valuation?
make sense
So
as
this is
compared to
typically
the price
used
per unit
for apartment
valuation?
buildings that's
So this is
between
typically
3
used
and
for
50
apartment
units.
buildings that's
Once you start to
between
get above 50 units, it's not
3
so much
and
a
50
factor
units.
of
Once you
valuation as
start to
much,
get above 50
but it's
units,
still
it's
a
not so
helpful
much
tool.
a
So if you
factor
look at
of
the price per
valuation
unit,
as
let's
much,
say you have
but it's
a
still a
10-unit
helpful tool.
apartment
So if
building,
you look at the price per
and
unit,
you
let's say you
can
have
establish
a
by your cap
10-unit
rate
apartment
that
building,
would be,
and
let's say, at
you
about
can establish by
125
your cap
per
rate
unit.
that
So
would
if you look
be,
at the other
let's say
comparable
at
sales
about
within the market,
125 per
is
unit.
125 a
So if you
unit
look at the other
similar to what the
comparable
other
sales
sales
within the
are,
market,
or are they
is
selling for lower
125
or
a
higher?
unit
So you may
similar
have
to what
really
the
good
other
rents,
sales are,
and
or are
that
they
comes out
selling
to
for
make your
lower or
property
higher?
valued at
So you may have
125 per
really good
unit,
rents,
whereas other
and that
properties
comes
have
out
lower
to
rents
make your
and they
property
might be
valued
more
at
at about
125 per
110 per
unit,
unit.
whereas
So
other
just having
properties
a
have
good
lower rents and
understanding
they
of
might
the
be
price
more at
per
about
unit
110 per
in
unit.
relating to
So
the
just
other
having a
surrounding
good
properties can be
understanding
a
of the
helpful
price per
measure
unit
to
as
look at
in
both and
relating to
say,
the
okay,
other
this is
surrounding
probably a pretty
properties can
fair
be a
method of
helpful
value
measure to
and
look at
a
both
good
and say,
kind of
okay, this
ballpark,
is
so to speak,
probably a
for
pretty
what
fair
the
method of
value of your
value
apartment building is.
and a
So
good
hopefully that's helpful
kind
to
of
you as
ballpark, so
you
to
gauge
speak, for
what the
what the value
valuation
of your
of your
apartment
real
building
estate
is.
investment
So hopefully
and
that's helpful
apartment
to you
buildings
as
are worth.
you gauge
As a real
what the
estate investor,
valuation
you may
of your
wonder
real estate
what the
investment
value
and
of your
apartment
apartment
buildings are worth.
buildings are